exciting. Okay, at that point we should be streaming. Good evening, IEPPV, and welcome to the September image competition. I'm Nick Seth Smith. I'm the president and your host for this evening. And we have three illustrious judges with us. The first is Pete Rizak, who is president of PPC, among many other accolades. Pete, say hello, please.
Hello, IEPPV and the world that's watching us.
The second we have is Stephen Scharf, who's also in the Bay Area, an amazing photographer, and we're very honored to have him with us. He just showed us a beautiful picture from downtown San Francisco where he was shooting earlier today. Stephen, please say hello.
Hi, nice to be back and nice to be judging another IEPPV image competition.
Thank you. And then last but by no means least is the wonderful Craig Stanfley, who's with us all the way from Brisbane in Australia in the future. It's somewhere tomorrow at this point.
Yes, it is. Thank you for having me on. And I hope I do a good job. This should be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing some fantastic images.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time for coming on and sharing your knowledge and expertise with our members. You know the whole process. We've tested the technology, so fingers crossed everything should work well. Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch over the video to the slideshow so that everybody can see the images that you're seeing and enjoy the work. Give me 1 second. This is always the bit that gets complicated. That should be it. Okay,
Live TV.
YouTube should now see the IEPP logo, and we'll start our competition. And our first category for the competition is the children category. And our first image in the category is called Break Time. Break Time. And there's a short pause while the judges enter their scores. Okay, the score is 79. And Craig, would you please take us away?
Yeah, this is a really beautiful image. I like the fact that the maker's gotten right down level with the child. Child isn't quite looking straight into the lens, maybe just slightly off to camera right, but really, really lovely capture. The only things that sort of not bug me, but I would have been possibly changed is the horizon. In that case, probably a slightly rolling field or park. The horizon isn't quite level, and I'd probably just darken down the trees in the background. They sort of catch my eye a little bit, but love the very candid expression, a lot of pop to the eyes, and that's hard. I mean, children are very hard to capture, so they've done very, very well.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah. Okay, so our next image, also in the children's category, is Flower Girl. Flower Girl. And that scores a 77. Pete, would you take this one away, please?
So I was at 74 in the average category. It says beautiful, sweet little girl. Look at that expression. You think that she's probably having just a fantastic time. And I can only assume that she was a flower girl at this event. Why I scored in the average category is And we look at the 12 elements here. We're lacking a direction of light. It just kind of has a flat muddiness to it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just lacking snap. And that's part of what leads into impact. Compositionally, it's nice that she's up there, but the background's just a little bit distracting for me, and as well as the presentation with the stroke line commands attention away from that sweet face. So that's why I was at the average category.
Thank you, Pete. And our next image, still in the children's category, is Shall I Dance For You? Shall I Dance For You? Still waiting for the final score. There we are. And that one scores a 78. Stephen, perhaps you'd talk about this one, please.
Yeah, this is really a lovely portrait of I'm assuming an aspiring dancer. I think the lighting is very well handled here. And she's set against a nice neutral background that's has, I think, a consistent use of color with her outfit. So there's nice color harmony here. As a former dancer myself, I'm a little bit drawn to what position she's kind of standing in. Doesn't look kind of consistent with how I would presume a dancer's posture would be. So I'm kind of being drawn away from her cute expression, her lovely face, with just her body position a little bit. I think I probably would have posed her a little bit. That's why I scored this a 78. But overall, I think it's a lovely picture of an aspiring dancer.
Thank you. Now the next image, still in the children's category, is Good Old Days. Good Old Days. Okay, this one we have 76. Craig, perhaps you talk about this.
Yeah, I do like the pose, and he's making good eye contact, which is really good. I think for this type of image, eye contact is essential, and he's nailed that. It's got obviously that old-timey look to it, sort of I'll say a reverse vignette, but a white vignette. Couple little spots on his pants that I would have probably removed, and possibly 3/4 of the outfit is spot on. I think it could be timeless. Just the cargo pants style draws me to the modern day rather than back in the old time. But yeah, really cool. I do like the hand on the hat, and yeah, good work.
Thank you. Next image, still with children, is Oh Where Could It Be? Oh Where Could It Be?
Oh, wow.
This one scores an 81. Pete, this one's with you. If you talk about it, please.
All right. I was at the 78 and above average category. and really enjoy the storytelling that that the maker has done with this, and where could it be. But where it falls a little short for me is the pose of the young lady's body is kind of square and boxy, and then the rodent or whatever that is up there on top, it just feels a little contrived for me. And what I mean by that is it looks like it might have been placed after the fact to me. And what indicates is it seems to have a different color of light on it versus what we have on the subject. And the directional light is different too. We have clearly light coming from left to right on the subject here, but on the rodent on the top, it appears to come from right to left. So it's incongruent for me, and that kept me out of the merit category. But really nice image.
Thank you, Pete. Okay, next image, still children, is Camping Cousins. Camping Cousins. Score is 82. Stephen, take it away.
Yeah, I think that this image deserves the score that it's received of an 82. I think it's very well handled. It's well posed. The lighting, maybe there's a couple little spots that could be brought down in the background that might draw your eye away. I've darkened those down a little bit. But with respect to the lighting on the subjects, I think it's excellent. There's a nice quality of light. The expressions are charming on the children. And it feels like a genuine moment. So, I think this would be a wonderful family kids portrait, that the family would enjoy looking back on as memories of this camping trip.
Thank you. Okay, next image is Another Happy Day. Another Happy Day. Score is 75. Craig, this one's with you.
Thank you. What a happy little chappie. Again, obviously a very natural expression. You'd be hard pressed to get a child this young to pose. So they've captured a genuine moment. I do like that he's looking off to the side, the teeth, everything. It seems a little bit flat to me. I'm not sure if the eyes are fully in focus, but yeah, it just seems a little bit flat in its treatment. I wouldn't mind something maybe to bring out the eyes and maybe just to darken the left-hand corner a bit. It's quite bright, but yeah, very cool, very nice.
Thank you. So that wraps it up for the children's category. And now we have two images up for review. Judges, if an image scores either 78 or 79, then we come back and ask you to tell us either thumbs up or stays the same. And if you would type that into the chat, either put yes if it's thumbs up and it goes to a merit, if you think it should go to a merit, and if you think it should stay at the score it was. I will pull the images up and give you their titles. The first one is Break Time. Break Time. Okay, if you would just okay, that stays the same. And then the second one is Shall I Dance For You? Shall I dance for you? And that one remains the same. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, the next category is digital artistry. Now, in the digital artistry category, we're interested as much in the work that has been after the shot was taken, in the Photoshop and the painting, if you will, as in the actual original photography. So it's very much focused on the photograph, the post-processing techniques. But obviously, all the usual rules of an image still apply.
Is there guide prints required for this, Nick?
Not required. They are recommended, but not required.
Okay.
And for other judges, guide prints would be little images that show you the source images from which the final image was produced. First image in the digital artistry is called Snow Bunny. Snow Bunny. I'm muted. Final score for that one is 78. And let's start with Craig. Craig, if you would talk about that one, please.
Yeah. Nice, simple pose, lovely face, beautiful little girl. I'm not sure if it's coming through, if it's Zoom or not, but the slide deck, but the eyes, again, don't seem sharp. The little bit of fur on her left cheek, to me, seems sharp, but her eyes, not quite. But the whole texture, I'd love to know what was used to make this up. I think, though, that I would probably have removed the hand or shot it without the hand at the bottom. But lovely texture on her skin, on her lips, a really beautiful pose, but just a couple little elements that I'm not too happy with. One being the sharpness of the eyes. But I don't know if you can see it, Nick. Are they sharp, or is it just Zoom?
If you look at the slides.com, that will be your best view of it.
Okay, I'm looking at slides, and it just don't seem quite sharp enough for me.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine. No problem. That's beautiful.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. Next image in the category is In Her Garden. In Her Garden. The score is 79. Pete, this one's with you.
Okay, I think Nick, what was my score on that? 76, 70?
You were at 75, Pete.
75. So I was in the above average category, 75. Really appreciate what the maker is trying to tell us here with creativity of this mermaid on these rocks in a forest. Unusual concept there, so I can appreciate the creativity that they have provided. But again, the color of the light looks, it doesn't look warm and inviting, but yet we've got kind of, an inviting type place. Actually, I'm having a hard time landing exactly on the subject of the mermaid, as we've got the rocks are so sharp in the foreground. The water is frozen. It'd been nice to see a little bit of blur with that, just to help with that. And the background gets really, it gets busy because it's pulling attention, because it appears that it's been darkened down, and then you got these bright areas there. So you put points of contrast that pull the eye back there and away from the beautiful subject. So I was at the above average category.
Thank you, Pete. Always value your comments. Appreciate that. And a lot of detail there. The next image then, the final image in the digital artistry category is called Friends and Athletes. Friends and Athletes. Final score is 79. And Stephen, I believe this one's with you.
Yeah, this is clearly an interesting athletic image. My assumption here is that this was composited of 3 separate portraits and then brought together into the final image. Personally, I think I would have liked a little bit less of the smoke treatment and just a little bit more emphasis on the athletes. I find the amount of smoke or the dust or whatever is part of the concept of this image a little bit distracting from the subjects. So I'd like, while I think it's an interesting concept, I'd like a little bit more emphasis placed on the subjects than the smoke or the dust, whatever is doing. And then I think the use of the light is pretty good, but I'd like a little bit more shape and form, because it looks to me like there's 3 kind of fairly dimensionally flat figures that were kind of collaged together in the photograph here. I'm not getting a sense of what would be real depth if these 3 athletes were posing, in fact, together in this space. So I think some better use of the lighting to give shape and form would have helped strengthen this. It's nice to see the images at the bottom to know what was the original there. I think that those were well handled. And I'd like to see some of that shape and form carried over into the final composite.
Thank you. Okay, so that is the end of the digital artistry category. We have 3 images for review, and that one starting with Snow Bunny. Snow Bunny. Again, if you would just give me a thumbs up, or stays the same in the...
Could you tell us where it's currently at, so we know?
Yeah, Snow Bunny was at 78.
Okay. So we got to go over to Zoom.
That one stays the same. Next image is in her garden. That one stays the same. And then the last one is Friends and Athletes. And that one remains the same.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next category. The next category is the illustrative or illustrative category. This is a category that is a little bit of a catch-all for everything that doesn't fit elsewhere, but it's really aimed at images that are not an obvious fit to other categories, and where the artist has a fair degree of freedom, more focused on the photography than the post-processing, so it's different from the digital artistry. And we always see an interesting range of images in this category. The first one is called Young and Beautiful. Young and Beautiful. Okay, image scores 83 points. And Craig, I think this one's with you.
No worries. I really like this. I love the range of color as it moves across. We've got some oranges and the reds, and then back to orange and then back to red. And then just for me, it flows really, really nicely. The simple key line is really cool. And I like how the image actually exits the frame. The only thing I would have maybe suggest they do is just remove the key line where it's over the branch, so that it almost looks like it's sitting on top of the key line. But I really do like that. The few little highlights in there really grab your attention to new growth, things like that. Very, very impressive. I really like that image. Really beautiful.
Great. Thank you, Craig. And the next image is artistic elements of the Oceanside Pier. Artistic elements of the Oceanside Pier.
Oh, excuse me. Hey, come on in. I'm just online. I'll just show that way. Come around the side. Sorry, everyone. All right.
Okay, we have 79 on that one.
I'd challenge that, actually.
That's just as well, because you were about to speak about it, Pete.
Yeah, no, I landed at 85 in the excellent category here. Really enjoying this this image here with the mix with a bit of a long exposure to kind of catch a little of the movement of the ocean, and also we get some ghosting of the movement of some of the people that are on the pier, because obviously that's what's going on. Really enjoy how we're led, from the wave up to the pier, takes us back, and we kind of come right back down. Sure, there are a couple of things I can see, in the sky that kept me from going higher, and I would encourage a maker to certainly take a look at, when going from one bit rate or bit size to another to eliminate that. But I think it's a really terrific image.
Okay, so in a challenge image, I'm going to encourage all judges to speak. Stephen, perhaps you would talk a little bit about this image as well.
Yeah, so I scored this an 80. I think the concept is very interesting, so I agree with Pete about that. But as an architectural photographer, I'm seeing lots of problems. The tops of the buildings are blurry. I'm seeing extension distortion in the buildings down the length of the pier. So the verticals aren't straight. The pier looks crooked to me a little bit. And so I'm, as an architectural photographer, looking at what I see as the problem areas with the photograph. And then also I'm seeing some posterization in the sky, the color of the sky here, which is also a bit distracting. So I think it's a great concept. I do like some of the points that Pete raised about the interest of the conception of this. But I think to pull this off, there needs to be some more work in fixing some of the architectural problems I see for an architectural subject.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. And then Craig, your reaction.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what Stephen's just said. I think the softness at the top of those towers, that's possibly like nets, maybe to keep birds off, but it gives you that initial impression that it's slightly out of focus or slightly blurred. Just a simple thing like the horizon's not straight. And to me, that just sort of, that's a simple thing that should be done straight away, is just straighten your horizon. I'm a big fan of long exposure photography, so I love the gentleness of the waves and the blurriness of the people. But I think it's possibly just been worked a bit too hard in spots, and it's just not sharp where it should be sharp. Particularly the buildings and the lights themselves. And I'm seeing the same sort of thing that Stephen commented regarding the sky. It's like they've tried to paint in some color and it's just not quite worked correctly. But beautiful concept, just needs to be tweaked.
So Pete, in rebuttal.
So in rebuttal, first of all, to mention the buildings with the tops, I think that's netting, and
Yeah,
I got into to look, and of course that's an impossibility to change. That's there, and it gives that illusion. So I could see past that. I definitely will yield to you guys that have the architectural experience on that, and actually more so, what's going on with that sky. The more this sits in front of me, it's just, God, I tell you what, you go from the top of the buildings down, I can make some arguments even, and some of the things on, not being level or whatnot. It's a great capture because you go, well, you've got all the pure lights that are straight up and down, but then, to go with the others. But that sky, I just can't get past that now. In fact, I'm going to go from the excellent category to out of merit because of it. So I'm going to reduce my score to 78.
Judges, if you would rescore, and this time please select challenge when you're entering the score. Thank you.
I'm trying to remember what I put in.
Let's see. So Nick, I can't get the rescore.
Right. So if you refresh your browser,
it's got to refresh.
Yeah, you just refresh your browser, and then it should come up.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So for those watching, the score panel pops up in front of the image when the judges are looking at the image, and so they get to see a high quality image then with the scoring in front. This is why I had to explain to them what to do. Okay, revised score is 77. Thank you, and I appreciate the challenge. Interesting comment. Okay, next image in the illustrative category is comfortable silence. Comfortable silence. I beg your pardon, I skipped an image, my mistake.
Oh.
No.
Oh, okay.
I apologize for that, I clicked too many times. My mistake.
So what do we got? This is comfortable silence. Okay.
So is the Spanish mission, Nick, comfortable silence?
The image that you see in front of you is now comfortable silence, yes.
Thank you.
Image scores 79. Stephen, can you talk about this, please?
Yeah, so I think this is a nice, I think the title is appropriate for this. I've been to missions like this, and there's kind of a nice pastoral, tranquil quality to these places, which are few and far between these days. I think that the maker has done a pretty good job of capturing the architectural feel of this, what I assume is a Spanish style mission, for the most part. So everything looks pretty square to me. There's a slight amount of barrel distortion at the door nearest the camera. But the biggest issue I have with this is the very bright foliage to the outside of the columns to the left of the photograph that really draws my eye away from the long leading lines that give a sense of place to this photograph.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, next image in the illustrative category is an apple a day. An apple a day. Somebody's hungry.
Yeah, it's lunchtime.
Final score is 87. And Pete, I'm going to ask you to talk about this one, please.
So I was at 92 in the superior category. And I think apple a day. I think this is a really beautiful still life. Nice soft light, lending to start a great day. Maker's done a nice job with just little subtle elements here with the fabric, and then you've got the cut apple and the vintage knife, nutmeg, even a little, I don't know what you call that thing to keep the bugs off of the fruit. Great story. I just think that it's a superior image, in my opinion.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. Next image is Autumn Flight. Autumn Flight. Image scores 80 points. Stephen.
Yeah, this is okay. So that's fine. This is a nice nature photograph. These look like either great egrets to me, or another class of egret, which I forget the name of at the moment. But these are hard to capture. I've photographed these birds in these estuaries, so I think it's very evocative of the time and place, the time of year. I think it's a nice capture. It's hard to get these birds either embarking in flight or even in their environment and not flying away when you approach them. So I think the maker did a very nice job of being able to get this photograph of two egrets here. I personally probably would have just cropped in a little bit tighter in the image, and just taken out a little bit of the background that I think is a little bit more expansive, and I'd focus in on the birds a bit more. I'd also bring the highlights on the bird that's about to take flight down a little bit. It's close to being blown out. I'd just bring it down very slightly just to bring the whites down and bring in some texture in the feathers on both the egrets. But overall, it's very nice a capture in nature.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next image is I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. Okay, I'm just waiting for the final score to come in from Stephen. Okay, I'm still missing one score. Okay, did we lose Stephen? I have a feeling that Stephen may be having technical difficulties. Did he? Okay, there'll be a short pause, audience. We apologize for this. I think we've lost one of our judges. Temporarily, we're going to go send out search parties and see if we can find him. Okay, I've just reached out to him and I do not hear a response. In a moment, I may actually ask one of our other scorers to step in as a proxy judge so that we can move the competition on, and then we'll get Stephen back as soon as we can. Rebecca, would you be so kind as to score this image? You don't know the maker, do you? Okay, Rebecca is a qualified PPC judge, so we'd love to have her score it. Rebecca, could you score on behalf of Stephen while we wait till get him back, please? So as a reminder to our audience, if any one of the judges has to recuse themselves because they know the image or they know exactly who the maker is and they feel they can't be objective, then we do have a standby judge, and Rebecca Online is qualified to do that. If we get really stuck, I'm also a qualified judge, but obviously I would be the last person to pick if at all possible. Okay, Rebecca, I will send you the slideshow so you can get a good quality image. Rebecca needs to see the image in high quality, and so to get that to her, just give me 1 second. And there'll be a short pause while she just opens the image and gets it. For our audience, what you see on the YouTube is broadcast from our title. Rebecca, the title of this was "I Don't Want It Anymore." I don't want it anymore. What you see is a broadcast of the image from our web conference. The judges see the image in much higher quality because they see it directly presented on their computers and not coming through a video broadcast. Rebecca didn't have that up, so we just got her going, and we're just waiting for her to score the image for us. Meanwhile, we're still searching for Stephen. Image scores 77. Pete, why don't you talk about this one?
Okay, I think I was at 76, above average category. Again, beautiful subject here for us to enjoy. The story, I'm going to guess it's something to do with her heart, with the appearance of what appears to be blood. I don't want to speculate, but I'm going to guess that must be what that is. But what kept me from the merit is we start to get into, some of the posing with the hand coming straight out. We get foreshortening. If the fingers tugging at her collar, kind of, we lose those. It'd been nice to have just a little bit more movement in her head, just with a slight tilt, so it's not so static. And I understand it's a stylistic choice of the maker that they're doing, but to sell it to us with more impact, that's kind of what you need to do. And the background lighting is just a little bit flat and lacking character and personality. But I think with some refinements, they're on to a story here that they could certainly build on.
Thank you, Pete. I'm glad to say that we've found Stephen back again. Apparently the internet gods were not in his favor, and they decided to pitch him into darkness for a short while, but he appears to be back now, so this is good. Okay, the next image, still in the illustrative.
Sorry, Nick, I was just going to say, I think you're sharing your screen and we're getting like information on the left-hand side.
Yes, we are. Let me see.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. I don't know where that came from, but it's gone away now. Okay, thank you. So moving on to the next image, still in the illustrative category, an unblemished cactus. An unblemished cactus. Okay. Okay, image score is 75. Stephen, now that you're back, perhaps you'd like to talk about this image. You're muted at the moment, Stephen. You need to unmute yourself.
There we go. All right, thanks. Yeah, I also scored this image at 75. It's an interesting concept. I'm struggling a little bit with the lighting with this particular, well, number of issues with this particular image. The lighting looks very flat to me. So it almost could look like a graphic on this material. And then the material in the framing, it looks like there's an edge against which the cactus presented that draws my eye away from it. And then the fact that the cactus is cut off at the bottom and there's kind of, it leads my eye out of the frame. I'm just struggling with the composition, the lighting, and the background for this image. So I would encourage the maker to maybe rethink the concept again and see if they could present this subject in a way that draws me in. I'm struggling with the impact and the lighting, the composition.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Okay, next image, staying with the illustrative category, is looking up. Looking up. Image scores 81. Craig, perhaps you would talk about this, please.
Yeah, striking image. To me, it looks like it's a model, not a statue. I'm assuming that's what that is. She's been surprised. She's been caught out. I really, really like the pose. The spread of her fingers, a lot of detail there. I think the only one or two things sort of bother me a little bit. You've got the quarter directly behind her, that's vertical, but then the little plinth that she's on sort of leaning to one side, leaning over a little bit. And then the curtains on the right-hand side of the image, they're not sort of hanging vertically. So you've got half of or part of the image that's vertical and another part that's not quite square, and things like that sort of jump out at me. Other than that, I do like the lighting on her hair. I like it on her face. Nice deep shadows around her neck, which I actually really do like. Just those few things sort of stand out to me. But otherwise, a really cool concept.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next image in illustrative is tranquility. Tranquility.
Nick, could you repeat the title? I'm still having internet connectivity problems.
The title is Tranquility.
Thank you. I don't know what's going on with my internet. Is this a landscape category?
Illustrative.
Illustrative, thank you.
We're still in the illustrative category.
Okay, thanks.
Score is 83.
Challenge.
Pete,
I'm going to challenge that. I'm at 90. It's superior category, tranquility. Wow, I could just feel peace come over me from looking at this and smelling that air and just feeling the crispness of what's going on. I really enjoy how the makers stylistically have put some foreground elements to lead us right into those guys on the boat, and then all the leading lines from the mountains going down, and then including just some of that God's light coming across the clouds where we get a few of those sunbeams going into this. So very tranquil feeling for me. So I'm totally in the superior category.
Thank you, Pete. Stephen, could you talk and give your reaction?
Yeah, I think this is a very strong image too. I think it's very well handled. It does not look like it's been manipulated or to the extent that it has in the illustrative category. I'm struggling a little bit with just a couple little composition elements. The lower corner draws my eye away a little bit with the thing that's projecting out into the water. I probably would have cropped that differently, and then I would have brought down some of the bright elements. The reflection of the water are a little too bright and blown out for me, so I would have managed those a little bit better. And then I guess those are sun rays coming from the upper right, but to me they just look like streaks in the sky. So I'm didn't know what they were, if they were sun rays or not, but to me it just looks like an uneven sky. So concept's great. I just think it just needs a little bit more refinement to really be superb. And I think it's got tremendous potential.
Okay, Craig, perhaps you'd comment as well, please.
Sure, no problem. The starting with the sky, the top right-hand corner, I see, Pete, what you mean about the sun rays, but just immediately to the left of that top branch, it looks like it's just been, looks a little bit muddy, looks like something's been cloned out there. It's not straight lines, it's a little bit semi-washed out. And then down the bottom corner, bottom left, I was sort of struggling with the log sort of sticking out as well. Not sure if it should have a reflection or not. It doesn't seem to have one, and to me, the fact that it's missing one doesn't sit quite right. I would have removed that log altogether. I don't mind the rocks. Maybe bring the rocks all the way down to touching the edge rather than having a little bit of a gap at the bottom. And then the scree on the left-hand side where it comes down to the water's edge, I would have thought there would have been, it almost like too fine a point where they meet. I thought there would have been a little bit of rubble or something there. But other than that, I do love the concept. I love the tranquility, definitely takes you into it. But there's just a couple of things that draw me out, particularly the top right-hand corner and the bottom left-hand corner.
So Pete, in rebuttal.
Okay, so in rebuttal, thanks for pointing out the little, what appears to be cloning there. I did not see that, so I'll yield on that. In regards to the log, if you look real close, there is a reflection, at least what I can see.
Okay.
So it's in contact, and this is a deep alpine glacial type lake. So with the rubble going down, I mean that's how these types of lakes are. They just go right. They just go right into that. So there's a category above, and for a lot of the reasons what you guys mentioned is why I wasn't there initially, but because of what's been said on that cloning, I still think this is an excellent image, and I'm going to adjust my score to an 87, and I would invite my fellow judges to join me there because I still think this is an excellent image and it's just so wonderful to look at. So I'll be adjusting my score to 87.
Judges, if you would please re-enter your score and please remember to hit challenge when you're doing so. Thank you. Refresh your browser to get the score panel back.
Kitty says score is
and the score is 83. Good challenge, thank you. Okay, the final image in the illustrative category is called perspective. perspective.
Nick, if I refresh, does that mean I got to rescore it?
Yes, if you would.
Okay.
You don't have to, but
Okay.
if you want to.
No, I don't want to rescore it. I just wanted to
That's okay.
look at the title again here.
Yep. Final score is 77. Stephen, perhaps you talk about this, please.
Yeah, I think this is also a very interesting concept as well. I like actually the very wide kind of panoramic aspect ratio. I love the use of the lacking the term here, but the storage units, containers, and the kind of very graphic use of color with the storage containers as the graphical color elements in the photograph. And just the arrangement of those elements in the frame. Where I just scored this a little bit lower is the background. To me, the way that it kind of renders looks a little bit obviously manipulated to separate the mountain range from the subject, which are the storage containers. So that distracted kind of my interest in this interesting photograph somewhat. And I'd also maybe like that foreground just to be a little bit darker, so the emphasis stays with these colorful storage containers. Nicely seen, though, for sure.
Thank you. Okay, we have one image for review in the illustrative category, and that is comfortable silence. Comfortable silence. Give me 1 second.
And where did it finish initially?
It finished at 79. Image remains the same. Thank you. The next category is the, sorry. I need to step.
Sorry, we get to look at them again.
Yeah. I made, 28. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, the next category is the landscape category. And the first image in landscape is Red Rock Sunrise. Red Rock Sunrise. Image scores 78. Craig, if you'd talk about this, please.
Yeah, I like the. I do like the perspective, and not to harp on about horizons always having to be level. The fact that this one isn't level actually kind of works for it because you're looking down in a slightly skewed angle. I actually kind of like that. Gives me a science fiction type view. I do think the red on the underside of the rock is a bit too harsh. If it matched the lower section would be better for me, because I just don't think it'd be that brighter red. Love the detail. I'd almost just thinking of a tighter crop and just have the whole hole as the for the frame rather than having sky above. There's a bit of banding in the sky, but I love the detail looking through the hole. That is amazing. Beautiful image. Just a few little elements. Just the red mainly for me. It's just a bit too red.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what was there, then that what was there. But I wouldn't have thought it would have been that red in nature. But I do like it.
Perfect. Thank you, Craig. Next image is Majestic Hill. Majestic Hill. Image score 72. Pete, this one's with you.
So I scored this below exhibition standards, and I apologize to the maker out there. It's not about you, it's the image. But for me, I'm struggling to find anything that's really sharp in this image. And in a landscape, my eye wants to see something that's sharp so it can go land on it. And really where it lands is down on that bottom right-hand corner, because it's the brightest part of the whole image, aside from the clouds, but the way that it's tangent down there. So what I can encourage, because I really want to enjoy this, and I bet it's just an amazing place, but I just had a hard time finding anything that was sharp.
Thank you, Pete. Okay, final image in the landscape category is Dreamtime. Dreamtime. Image scores 90 points. Stephen, this one's with you.
Yeah, was right there. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's fantastic. The conception, the lighting, maybe like it might be infrared. I can't tell, but if it is,
I was thinking infrared.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure if I know who the maker of this is. I have an idea, but I may be wrong. But it's fabulous. I even loved the little tree foreign planet thing in between the two trees there in the distance, just as a counterpoint. But this is just wonderful. Beautifully seen, beautifully rendered, beautifully composed, and beautifully presented. I don't have much to add. I welcome the other judges' comments if they want to join in.
Can we challenge this?
By all means. Pete, go ahead.
I was at 95, and the longer there sits here with me, I'm low. This is absolutely sensational, and especially after hearing Steven's comments, there's no negatives here.
I don't
know. I'm low as well, to be honest.
I just don't know why we're dilly-dallying around. I have no problem taking this to 100.
I'm willing to rescore mine for sure.
Yeah, I can rescore.
Craig, do you want to respond to Pete's challenge?
Yeah, no, Pete. I scored it low as well, and really taken aback. I love the title, Dreamtime is a very sort of Australian term used. And to me, this just looks like two parent mangroves with a little child mangrove in the middle. Almost looks like a heart there with the shape of the branches. Like Stephen, I thought this was possibly infrared, and just the clouds, the ripples of the water at the bottom. You're taken straight through to that the young mangrove tree at low tide. This is really, really beautiful. There was a lot of patience put into making this, just to get the right composition. So yeah, I definitely scored a little bit low. I think I did an 84 and I didn't do it justice.
So in rebuttal, I'm not hearing any reason not to go to where I kind of inadvertently announced my hand there. But this is simply sensational. I mean, you look at it, and I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm happy to rescore it.
Yeah, I'm
let's
happy to
do
restore it.
Let's do it, guys.
Go on
Okay,
then.
gentlemen, if you would rescore and again, please hit the challenge button.
I gave it a pretty high score initially, but I'll score it even higher.
Good. Somebody should be happy with us.
Yes, it's fabulous.
It is sensational.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, do you think that we're thinking of the same person?
Yeah, I think so. Which is why I
have no idea who it is. And man,
we can talk offline.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the title would
Be
confirm
consistent.
that.
Yeah.
And
So
that's not to take any away from the maker, but it's a
final score is
beautiful
98. Final score is 98.
Wow.
So it was real close. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Yeah, good challenge too, by the way, Pete.
Yeah.
So that wrapped up the landscape category. We do have one image for review in the landscape category, and that is Red Rock Sunrise. Red Rock Sunrise.
And again, where'd we finish on that? Was it
Finished at 78 on that
okay?
one. Remains the same.
Yeah.
Okay, the next category is the nature category. And the first image in nature is Perched by Myself. Perched by Myself.
Mm-hmm.
$80 points. So, Stephen, let's have this one with you.
Sure. I think it's a very nice nature photograph. I love the harmonious use of complementary colors here. I think that's very strong. The eye is sharp on the subject. I love seeing photographs of birds like this, particularly unusual birds with the interesting colored feet. And then the recapitulation of that same color in the fence, I think is very nice. And then the same tones are recapitulated again in the background, and the background's nicely soft, offsetting the subject. I guess for me, the reason why I scored this where I did is just the presentation with the brown background. I think is just a little bit too much for me. I would have preferred a simpler black background with a white key line, maybe, just to give it a little bit more contrast. But overall, I think it's nicely handled photograph. I don't know what this bird is, but it's certainly interesting.
It's just, I would have thought it's a pigeon, I would have thought.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, next image is Shapes of the Yellow. Shapes of the Yellow. Okay, so this one scores an 80, but we have an automatic challenge. An
It's
automatic
gotta be
challenge
me.
occurs when somebody is 10 points away from the average.
So it's got to be me.
Actually, it could be either one of you.
Oh.
I'm going to have
It could
Craig.
be me.
I'm actually going to have Craig talk about it, if I may.
Sure.
But we have a big difference here.
This is to me, I probably scored it on the higher end because I think this is a very, very beautiful image. I love the delicate nature of the leaves. There's so much detail that I can see, just the little curls and the veins, and even on the stem itself. The white background, the white border, and the complementary yellow keyline really set this off for me. I think it's just a very, very beautiful image, and I really can't find fault with it.
Craig, would
I
you
think
mind
it's just
sharing your
gorgeous.
score?
My score, I think I put it down as a 92.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Pete.
So I was at the other end. I was at 71 in the average category. So I must not quite have enjoyed it nearly as much as you. And thank you for pointing out some of the things. But for me, it was lacking impact, dimension. The lighting seems to be a little flat. And of course, then on that white background, we start out nice and white up at the top, and we get to the flower, and then it just kind of falls apart for me down to where we get, over into some grays or whatnot. So, I mean, I might have been a little harsh on that, but it's going to be a hard sell to get to merit for me.
Okay, Stephen.
I was in the middle between you two guys. So I'm in agreement with Craig on many of the points he raised. In particular, I think the composition is strong, and the focus and the presentation of the flower is beautiful. On the other hand, I'm also in agreement with Pete that I think that for me the background is a little bit too flat and the lighting is a little bit too flat, and then the transition from very bright white to this kind of slightly muddy gray in the corner, I just found a little. I'd like to see some texture or something that just gave a sense of a real background there rather than just white space. So that's kind of, I put it kind of in the middle score between the other two judges.
Craig, in rebuttal.
I'm seeing just so much detail. I mean, if we start off on the left-hand side, as we come up the stem, you can see where the leaf or the bud at the back of it, you can see through it where it's a little bit translucent. You can see the detail on it. Then you've got the veins on the other bud underneath the actual flower itself. The yellow right in the middle has a little bit of discoloration, which means it's not perfect. Means it's a real leaf, real flower. I just think the white background. I just love the simplicity of it all and just the detail. I'm just not sure why others aren't seeing detail. I see plenty of detail.
Yeah, I see detail too, Craig, as well. I agree with you. It's just for me, the lighting is a little flat and I'm not getting much sense of, it looks more like a drawing to me than a photograph of a three-dimensional subject.
I can appreciate that. I think if the lighting was a little bit stronger, it would probably be, there'd be highlights everywhere. But I mean, 92, that's a bit high, but I still think it's a beautiful image.
I agree.
Gentlemen, if you would be so kind as to rescore, please.
Sure.
And this time, please hit challenge.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that.
If I could make this, I would.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to mute until when you need to hear from me. My family just got home, just so that we're not hearing them in the background. So I'll be here, but I will unmute when I need to talk.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, final score is 83. So good challenge. Thank you. And the next image in the illustrative category is vigorous orange. Vigorous orange. There will be a short pause. Appear to be having a technical difficulty here. Ah, come on. Vigorous orange. Apologize for the delay. Final score is 84. Pete, this one's with you. Pete, you're still muted.
I'm unmuting myself. There we go. I think I was at 86, the excellent category. Beautiful flower here. Love the composition that the makers placed us right over here, that over here on the right hand side, that we can just lead right up to it. Flowers, the petals, we just go around, we look at those, the visual interest here, the drops takes us right into the center of that beautiful flower, and the tones on that. Very nice presentation. I was in the excellent category.
Thank you, Pete. Next image in the nature category is touchdown. Touchdown. Score is 81. Stephen, this one's with you.
Yeah, so this I think is a very nice example of a true nature image capturing wildlife in its natural habitat. The lighting on this is very nice. There's a nice sense of shape, direction. The directionality of the light is very good. The only thing that, for me, that brought this down a little bit with respect to where I scored it is I think that nature images like this, where you're capturing wildlife in motion, it's important to capture peak action. And the left wing here for me is a little bit, just draws my eye away from this bird. I think it's also an egret, probably, or a heron of some sort. And I find the position that its wing is in on the left wing a little bit distracting. I probably would have been shooting a sequence of this faster to see if I could have gotten both wings in a kind of a more natural position. But certainly these are hard to capture. So commend the maker for being there.
Thank you, Stephen. Excellent. Next image in the nature category is, hey, this is my territory. Hey, this is my territory. Just waiting for the third score. Score is 84. Craig, this one's with you.
Yeah, this is really cool. Overall, the fact that the makers got the reflections of both the bird that's yelling squawking is very, very sharp. To take into account Stephen's comments before from the previous image about the wings, this one, the wings are level. You can sort of make out what he's doing. It's just a really amusing but technically very well done image. I love the fact that there's a few ripples, but there's not a lot. The ripples sort of draw you into what you're supposed to look at. It's all about that one bird, the one it's squawking at, and then the reflections as well. The colors work really well, very muted, but then you've got this bright head on the one on the rock. Very, very impressive. I think I scored it at a 82 or at 84 or something like that.
85.
85, thank you. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Yes. Really, really happy with that.
Okay, thank you. Next image in the nature category is Forest Flame. Forest Flame. Image scores 84. Pete, please tell us.
I think I was at what, 89 on this?
Yes, sir.
In the excellent category. Forest Flame. Wow. I just was really drawn in right away as we get into that yellow flower. Just took us right into there. You got the red that goes right around it. Actually really enjoy where the maker compositionally has put it up here. In a different PowerPoint. You know, most would probably say, hey, it should be over on the other side or whatnot, but they've challenged that, and I think that it works. So really nice job. Nice, clean, simple presentation. Just really works. I was in the excellent category.
Thank you, sir. And the final image in the nature category is a majestic Alaskan bald eagle. Majestic Alaskan bald eagle. Image scores 83. Stephen, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think it's fully deserving of 83. I actually scored a little bit higher at an 85. I think it's a beautiful portrait of a beautiful bird. The eye, which of course for a raptor like this is all crucial, both in nature and in photography, is tack sharp. The feathers and his kind of mane of white feathers against the beautiful kind of charcoal gray, it just, I think, provides beautiful counterpoint and context and texture. The background is very well handled. It's nicely out of focus, and nothing draws your eye away from this.
I think we just lost Stephen again. His image froze. Stephen, are you back? I think we lost you.
Oh, sorry. Where did you lose me?
We lost you about most of the way through your comment.
Okay, I just sum up. I think it's a beautiful portrait of a beautiful raptor. Very well done.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we have no images for review in the nature category. And at this point, we're a little over halfway through. We're going to give the judges a 5-minute comfort break. So we will step on to a break. And we will return in 5 minutes. Viewers, if you would bear with us, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Rico, what are you doing there, buddy?
What? Oh, you just so silly. You ain't silly boy. Yes.
1 o'clock.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay. So while the judges are getting a little refreshment, we're just going to take a brief pause, and I've switched over so that we see just the speaker that is speaking at the time. That should help to see a little bit of who's actually making the comments. Okay, I see all the judges back. Judges, I took the liberty of muting you all so that you could have a little privacy while you moved around. If everybody's ready, if you'd come back on and let me know, that would be great. Okay, I see Stephen.
I'm back.
I see Pete.
But I'm going to mute just so we don't
Hello.
family.
And I see Craig back. Okay, thank you. So we have everybody back. The next category on our competition tonight is pets. And the first image in the pets is called Princess Honey. Princess Honey. Okay, we're just waiting for the judges to deliberate and give a score. Okay, this point I hope that my internet hasn't given up on me. Okay. There we go. Okay, so looks like my screen was causing a problem. Score is 79. 79, and Greg, why don't you take this one away?
Yeah, what a beautiful animal. I love how everything is sharp on the face. The nose through to the eyes, through the ears is very, very delicate. You could almost make out what the horse is looking at in the reflection. It's superb. And the actual border with the horse, it's like he's looking up through his stall window. I really do like it. Very delicate key line, and just very well presented. An unusual presentation with the oval shape, but it works really well in this image, particularly with the nose just outside of the present, whatever you call it, the crop, not crop. The I'm lost for words at the moment. Yeah, very beautiful.
Okay, thank you. Next image in the pets category is Diesel. Diesel. Image scores 77. Pete, this one's for you.
And I'll take it. I think I scored 74 in the average category on this. Who doesn't love a dog, right? Look at that guy. Couple of things that kept me from being up in that above average category. First of all, the fur over here on his right-hand side is nice and warm, but then we get a cool highlight on the other. So just the incongruency in the light. Also, he has the appearance to me that he's got some fear with his ears are up, but they're pointed back, and then with the tongue out. Usually for me, when I see dogs like that, they're in distress. So I'm sure I'm wrong on that, because anytime I speculate, the internet their makers let me know. But that's the appearance that it has. And also that stroke line, it just commands more attention, almost like that's more of the center of interest than this beautiful face that we can enjoy here. So that's why I was in the average category at 74.
Thank you, Pete. Next image in the pets category is My Friend. My Friend. Image scores 81. Stephen.
Yeah, I think this is a very nice portrait of someone's pet. I think the colors are complementary here in terms of the background. I think the maker probably could have managed maybe some control over the depth of field just a little bit more, so that my eyes aren't drawn away from the dog's eyes to those buttons at the back a little bit. And I probably would have just positioned the dog a little bit slightly differently, a little bit more obliquely, so I get a sense of the shape of the dog's body rather than just the head and the forearms. And then lastly, I probably would have left just a little bit more space at the bottom near the right paw, negative space there below the image, just to balance it a little bit more. But overall, it's a very nice portrait of someone's dog.
Okay, thank you. Next image in the pets category is Sweet Surrender. And this is the final image in the category, Sweet Surrender. Image scores 77. Craig, this one's with you.
Yeah, I think I scored it a 78. I think it's a really cool pose by the cat. The pearls are a nice addition. Someone's well-loved pet. The only thing that sort of detracts from me is the amount of leaves, particularly the ones that are very bright. I keep dragging my eye away from a really cool pose from the cat. The background really works. The pearls are, to use Stephen's comment about the complementary colors, really works in well with the tones of the cat. But yeah, just the leaves draw me away. But with something like this, where it's not illustrative, it's pets, you're allowed to throw in leaves like this, because yes. I'm assuming that's been composited on. They've been added on.
Yes, that's correct. The only category where you cannot is the photojournalism category.
Of course. Okay. In this case, yeah, just too many leaves for me. Other than that, I really like it.
Okay, thank you. So that wraps up the pet category, and we have one image for review, which is Princess Honey. Princess Honey. Again, if you would just give me the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Are we voting to keep the score the same, or?
That's correct, yes. The score was originally 79, so you either say it stays the same or goes up. Okay, remains the same. Okay. Come on. Sorry, next category. I'll get there in a moment. Next category, photojournalism. Okay, so this is the category where the maker does not have the option of adding or changing. Just as a reminder, essentially we say whatever can be done in the darkroom. So dodging, burning, a little bit of correction, but nothing added, nothing taken away. And cropping should not materially change the story from what was originally there. The first image in the photojournalism category is Surfing USA. Surfing USA. Waiting for the scores to come in. I hope it's not. Maybe my machine running slow. Okay, there'll be a short pause while my machine, I give it a little kick. Bear with me. Score was 79, and Pete, perhaps you talk about this one, please.
So I was at 80. I landed on the merit side here for the maker. Again, what a cool image here. Photojournalism completely frozen this surfer at a decisive moment. Makes me wonder Did he crash right after that? I'm sure that gravity took over, but the fact that the maker was able to do this for us, stop those all those water droplets, you got the wave kind of crashing. He's at this dynamic angle in composition, nice supporting presentation to it, clear center of interest on the surfer. So I landed on the side of the merit.
Thank you, Pete. Next image in.
Sorry, can I ask a question regarding
Go
this
ahead.
one?
Yes, please.
I really like it. I think I judged it at a 79. The vignette to me seems rather heavy. Is that something that would detract from photojournalism, or could you sort of apply a heavy vignette like that typically?
Typically, there's a point at which it would go extreme, but generally speaking, as we said, whatever can be done in the darkroom, so that would just fall into the category of dodging and burning.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even notice the vignette, Craig. So like Pete, I scored this an 80.
I noticed it a few minutes after, sort of stepping back. Then I thought, oh, it's a little bit heavy, but not that it detracts from it. I just thought, I wasn't sure if you would use that in photojournalism.
Yeah,
but that's all right. That's good.
Under the rules of the competition, that is still permissible.
That's fine. No problem.
And thank you. Good question. Next image in the photojournalism category is point made. Point made. Just waiting for the last score. I hope that's not my machine running slow again. Stephen, I think we just lost you again. Did we? Okay, the internet gods are not working with us very well. Rebecca, would you step in and score this one for us, please? So just while we're waiting for Rebecca or Stephen to rejoin, there are many benefits to running the image competition online, not the least of which is we're able to bring in Craig from 6,000 miles away, maybe more, and certainly from tomorrow. But we do occasionally have issues where the internet doesn't behave. So we apologize and ask you to bear with us for things outside of our control. Okay, there will be a short pause while Rebecca logs back in. Okay, image scores 89. Craig, I'm going to ask you to talk about this one, please.
Yeah, this is in Papua New Guinea. This is the tribal highlanders and people like that. We've got detail from front to back. We've got some epic clouds right in the distance. It's staged in the sense that everybody's sort of pointing their spears at the tribal leader, but it works so well. I was very generous with this one because I just think it's a very captivating image. The the makers used a wide-angle lens, so you can see a little bit of distortion at the end. Sorry, at the edges, but that doesn't detract from the image because of how powerful I think it is. I would say that the maker's probably standing on a small box or a step stool, unless he happens to be a tall man, or is holding the camera above his head. But it is, to me, this is very, very powerful. And I will say I actually have been to Papua New Guinea a couple of times, and I wish I could have come away with something half as good as this.
So this actually triggered an automatic challenge. I apologize for my machine running slow.
No, that's fine.
And so therefore, Pete, I would ask you to talk about this, please. Pete, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Nick. Can you remind me where I was at? I think I was in the excellent category.
You were at 86.
Yeah. I absolutely support that same category with you, Craig. In fact, the more that I'm looking at this, maybe that we're a little bit low on this. Yes, great black and white here. Great compositional element of using whatever traditional, whatever they're doing here. I've never been to Papua New Guinea. I'm lucky that I've been out of the United States to Mexico. But anyway, I can't imagine that you could direct these guys to do something like this. There's so much interest to look at this, and it's just really incredibly done. In fact, I heard the comment about the wide angle, and I think that it totally supports this image because you have that entire circle, all those leading lines taking you right in, and it's clear who's in charge here, right? And so all of that, and of course all the detail in the sky front to back. I'm sure that whoever made this image had no control of establishing what time of day they were going to fall upon this scene or how they even got that done. So it's totally amazing, and I think I'm low at 86.
So Stephen, perhaps you would talk about it as well, please. Did we lose Stephen?
I think you mean me. I
beg your pardon, Rebecca. Yes, please go ahead and talk.
Is a wonderful capture of a cultural practice that is so far away from our culture. I'm the bad one here. I did score at 82. I was very impressed by the design and the capture of the image. However, I am totally distracted by, I know there's probably no control over the time of day because this is when they would conduct this ritual. However, I would appreciate a little bit more burning down of the grass. Is just way too bright for me. And I am struggling, and I'm willing to listen. The use of wide angle, I know that probably is is a balance between, the situation at hand versus, capturing that circle of ritual. However, the distortion on the people really pull me away from giving a higher score. But I'm listening.
Okay, Craig, in rebuttal.
Look, I can understand the potential issues of the distortion with the wide-angle lens, but you're not going to capture that whole scene like that. You'd have to be further back. I think the fact that the person kneeling down front and center, his head isn't blocking the tribal leader's feet. He's clear. You can see him in great detail. The gourd around his waist. I'm not sure about the burning down of the grass. To me, it doesn't seem that bright. The sky is certainly brighter in parts. I just think it's captivating. That's to me, that's a really, really stunning image.
And Craig, what was your original score?
I went straight to 100.
Excellent.
I didn't want to muck about.
Okay, judges, would you please rescore and remember to click challenge.
I would agree with Craig, by the way.
Yeah, we just don't see Stephen's back in. Stephen, thank you for rejoining. I'm sorry, the internet.
Yeah, it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah. Okay, final score is 96 points. Thank you. Good challenge.
Yep.
Nice job.
Well done, guys.
Okay, the final image in the photojournalism category is "This is my camera. This is my camera."
Oh, man.
I wasn't sure where to put the emphasis, so I gave you both options. Image scores 93 points. Pete, this one's
challenge. I'm going to challenge that. I'm at 96, and I might again. So photojournalism, like this is straight out of camera, honest photojournalism. Exposures, not just dead on. There's detail in the background, and there needs to be detail. Compositionally, getting that headdress, it just wraps us all the way down. Get the divine proportions as we just wind into right into that eye. This is my camera. Off the hook storytelling. Great range of tonality there, right? Detail and everything. Center of interest, we go right to his eye. You know, using that's his camera. I can't speak his language, but the story or the makers told me that's what it is. Makes complete sense to me. The techniques, fantastic. They've chosen to keep it in black and white. There's detail in all the whites. There's, like I said, detail in the shadows where there needs to be. The storytelling's fantastic. Impacts off the hook. Creativity is great. Style, it's all there. 96.
Okay, Stephen.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with. I think I was 1 point lower at 95 on this, but I could easily go to 96 or 97. It's superb. Everything Pete said. It's off the hook. Really superb photojournalism.
And Craig?
Yeah, I could come up. The only thing that that caught my eye was just on his left shoulder, just the slight highlights. But other than that, that's the only thing detracting from this image. It's really powerful.
So yeah,
Okay.
in rebuttal, I mean, yeah, it looks like they've tried to bring that down a little bit, but I think if we get to going any more, then we'd be on. It looks a little mushy. I mean, look at that edge highlight. They're all on the left-hand side, right? So being able to position themselves not only to be able to get that great directional light, but look at that edge highlight on that. So I'm at 96. I'd encourage you guys to join me and vote higher if you'd like.
Okay, gentlemen, please rescore. And remember to hit challenge. Okay. Final score is 96. Thank you, gentlemen. Good challenge.
Yeah.
Beautiful image.
Okay, so we have one image for review in the photojournalism category, and that is Surfing USA. Surfing USA.
And it fell at
79. Okay, gentlemen, if you... Did we lose Stephen again?
I
No.
think we might have. Oh,
okay.
What? No, I'm here.
Can you just put a comment into the chat with your whether it stays the same or goes up? Just type into the chat window. Look at the bottom of the Zoom window. It's the little balloon.
Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rescored this.
Would you just no? Don't rescore. Just type into the chat.
Oh, okay. Let's show the chat window here.
Okay, do you find the chat window? And okay, this becomes a merit. Okay, thank you.
Very good.
This becomes a merit. Okay, the next category is the portrait category. So in the portrait category, it's assumed that the maker has complete control over lighting, posing, dress, attire, and so on. First image in the portrait category is the feeling of joy. The feeling of joy. Image score 76. Stephen.
Yeah, I like this portrait very much. It's clearly a dancer and probably feeling the joy of movement. Overall, I think it's a very nice portrait. It's certainly an interesting choreographic balletic pose by the subject. I think the only thing that brought it down for me a little bit is I'd like to see maybe a key line around this just to separate the background a little bit from the background in the photograph from the background in the presentation. There's no key line or mat around this. I just like to see the presentation improved a bit.
Okay. Next image in the portrait category, traces of time. Traces of time. Image scores 75. Craig, I think this was with you, please.
Yep. Beautiful old woman. She's got some stories to tell, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the lighting on the right-hand side of the image is a little bit too strong, and there's too many highlights. But I do like just a very casual, relaxed pose. I think there needs to be a little bit of detail in the eyes. They just look like this is a tiny highlight or catch light, but we're not getting any detail of the irises or anything like that. So that's a couple of things that sort of detracted from me. Just basically the overexposure on her left-hand side, and then any sort of lack of detail in the eyes. Otherwise, I actually do really like just the very simple pose, and I do like the crop as well. Nice and tight, does tell a story.
Thank you. Next image in the portrait category is strength and grace. Strength and grace.
Wow.
I'm just waiting for the system to update. Image scores 85. Pete. with you?
Good, because I'm going to challenge it. I'm at 92 up in that next category up there in the superior category. This is stunning. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that expression. It just pulls us in. It's a tremendous impact. The maker's done an amazing job of showing us all the detail on that hair, keeping it all nicely separated, dark hair against a dark background. Technically, that's just really well done. And of course, then, just keeping her separated all the way along. Either you've got a nice highlight from the leg that's close to the camera to what's showing behind. We do get some subtle hints of a hand and going down. And I think the maker's done an amazing job of blocking light on the front portion of the arm and chest so that we keep light up on the face so that we stay there. Really, really well done.
Stephen. Sorry, Stephen, perhaps you'd comment.
Yeah, I think I should score this higher given Pete's input. I agree. I think it's superbly handled. I don't have anything to add to what Pete does, other than I also think that the makeup and the hairstyling is superb as well. So it lends a lot to this portrait. It's beautifully styled as well as photographed.
And Craig?
Yeah, I was probably a little bit too quick off the mark. I could definitely come up a bit. I love the texture on her shoulder right there in front of us. I think for me, I thought there would have been a little bit of texture on her face. It just almost seems too smooth. And I would have liked to have seen that hand at the lower right-hand corner. To me, it seems a bit muddy, but that just could be my screen or the way I'm looking at it. If it was on her knee or something like that, that would have, so we could see the fingers, would have worked for me. But other than that, agree. The hairlight's really, really very well handled. I thought this possibly was just a little bit of overworked on the face, but I could be wrong. She's, I guess, a younger woman, so not that many wrinkles yet.
Oh, Pete, rebuttal, please.
So in rebuttal, in regards to the face, this clearly, it is a portrait, but it could almost be some fashion or glamour on that. And so she may have had some professional makeup done. In fact, having that saves lots of time on the back end of it. That hand down there, it's a little distracting, and quite honestly, that kept me from going into that exceptional category on that. Now that I am going to just point out the one thing for the maker's sake, if they're listening, and I hope they are, that in case that so that they don't get too big ahead thinking, hey, 92 is great. And I'm going to encourage you guys to join me there, because I'm not going to change my score on this. But nobody identified that this image has been flipped, because the Nike is spelled backwards in reverse. So if you're going to show writing and you're going to flip an image, make sure that you don't have words showing. So 92, vote your conscience, but join me there.
Gentlemen, please rescore. And again, please hit challenge. Image scores 91. Good challenge.
Nice job, guys.
Can I just make one comment?
Go ahead.
Please, Nick. Pete, with your comment regarding the Nike, if you look at the bold white Nike that's we can see all the lettering on.
Yeah.
To its left is another E that's actually the right way around.
I see that now.
So I'm wondering if that's why I didn't.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't. That's really weird how that would go.
There might be. Well, I'm just thinking maybe there's a pattern all the way through where it's flipped in different ways. So
interesting, but I've been on panels where that would be enough that somebody wouldn't merit it.
Really? Okay.
So just how that is. So I made it out. I didn't change my score, but I pointed it out just for to be aware of that, because all the other attention to detail that they did.
Thank you. Good comments and a great challenge. Okay, the next image in the portrait category. My girl has class. My girl has class. Okay, image scores 86 points. Stephen, go for it. Did we lose Stephen? I thought I brought him back. Give me 1 second.
Stephen.
No, he's...
I'm here.
Okay, good. Stephen.
All right. Yeah, I'm back.
I'm with you.
I don't know what's going on. I'm severing power outages left, right, and center here. I don't know what's happening. I apologize, gents. I actually scored this over a 90. I think it's superb. The lighting, the posing, the styling, the depth in the photograph. This, I don't know what camera shot this. This almost looks medium format to me. The only criticism I would have is this is the cutting off of the arm a little bit in the pose. I know that's not. We know, Craig and I know of someone who does this all the time and makes it work. But that would be my only niggle. But other than that, I think it's an excellent portrait. So I scored this a 92.
Thank you. Okay, next image in the portrait category is Papua casual dress. Papua casual dress.
Yeah.
Image scores 92. Craig, why don't you talk about this one?
Yep, an exceptional portrait. Beautiful black and white treatment. Yeah.
Not much to say, is there, Craig?
Not much to say. It's just I'm surprised you guys didn't go high. I did a 95, I think. The expression, the face, the painted dots. You can pick out the detail in the eye, even though it's such a so far away. Extremely graceful, very feminine, and very beautiful. The maker did an exceptional job there. I think the black and white treatment's really, really superb.
Okay, thank you. That was the last image in portrait, and we have no images for review in the portrait category.
Wow.
So our next category is seniors. And the first image in the seniors category is A Marine's Prayer. A Marine's Prayer.
Yep.
Image scores 85. Pete.
So I think I was at what, 82 on that, Nick? What was 81, 82? That was for the merit. I know that.
You were at 82, yes.
Okay, 82. Yeah, strong merit for me. Great portrait here of a young Marine. I am going to guess that he's enlisted in the senior category here, and is about to embark on probably a long and hopefully storied career. The choice that the maker has done this in profile and also to show in a prayerful pose, I think is a very creative way to show, these fearless fighters.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next and final image in the seniors category is prepared. Prepared. Image scores 88. Stephen.
I think this is very strong senior portrait. I really like the pose of this athlete. The lighting is excellent. I think the black and white conversion is excellent. It's very symmetrical, so it's dead center with respect to the framing, which I really like. Overall, I think it's very well handled. I actually scored this in 90. My only suggestion to the maker would be to keep this from scoring higher, to make this help this score higher, would be a little bit more catchlight in the eyes and to have him looking a little bit more directly straight onto the camera. But other than that, I think it's very, very well done.
Thank you, sir. There are no images for review in the seniors category. Our next category is wedding. So we do require that all images in the wedding category be shot on the day of the event. We do allow for other major events such as quinceañeras and bar mitzvahs, as well as weddings. First image is Majestic Love. Majestic Love. Image scores 87. Pete.
I was at 92 on this. Beautiful portrait of this bride and groom, and I'm gonna guess that's an LDS temple. Looks like, I'm not LDS, but it sure looks like one to me. Really just fantastic, and who wouldn't want that as a bridal portrait or wedding portrait on their wall? And the majesticness of that temple with the bride and groom down there, just really well done.
Thank you, sir. The next and the final image in the wedding category is In Love. In Love. Image scores 82. Craig, I think I skipped you before, so let's have you talk about this one.
That's all right. Yeah, no problem. Beautiful image. Love the composition. Her arm, her detail under her arm is very well handled. I think there's possibly a slightly too yellowy orangey tone on their skin, but that could just be me. I would consider a crop and get rid of that top archway and just have the door, so we don't have that extra element, and it would make it slightly tighter. And I think I would have asked for the groom to have put his hand on her hip rather than in his pocket, purely because he's almost a little bit detached. She's showing a lot of affection, and he's sort of not quite there. To me, I would have just preferred it if he had his hand on her, it would have been a little bit more intimate. But other than that, it's lovely location, lovely pose. Just I would have preferred his hand on her hip. Yeah, nice. Really nice.
Okay, there are no images to review in the wedding category. So that brings us to our final category of the evening, the workshop category. The workshop category is images that were taken either in a workshop or under instruction, and therefore they are eligible for a merit and a recognition in this competition, but they're not eligible for end-of-year awards. We encourage people to use this as a platform for showing the work that they're learning, during their classes. The first image in this category is the Geisel. The Geisel. If I mispronounced it, please correct me. Image scores 82. Stephen, this one's with you.
Yeah, this is very strong architectural image, which by nature attracts me, being an architectural photographer. I like the composition a lot. It's a very interesting subject and structure. And I think it's nice that it's converted to black and white. I personally prefer architectural photographs in black and white. I think for me, what brought this down just a little bit in the score is the very bright white clouds off to camera right, to the right side of the building. We're losing some texture and detail in the clouds there. That's pulling my eye away a bit from this very interesting structure. And then I probably would have done a slightly different black and white conversion here, just to de-emphasize the texture a little bit. It's a little too grainy and textured for my tastes. And I'd like to just have used a slightly different conversion technique to place more emphasis on the structure, the shape, and the design work that went into this very interesting building. But overall, I think it's nicely seen, nicely composed, and well done. So,
thank you, sir. Okay, next image in the workshop category is Fire in the Sky. Fire in the Sky. Just waiting for the machine to refresh. Image scores 83 points. Craig, let's hear from you.
Yeah, cool. I scored it I think an 83. Yeah, really lovely image. Really, really lovely image. The horizon looks to be dead straight. The pier is very powerful and sharp. Very long exposure for that water. Making it a very, very good job. Considering he's looking at the sun, I think that highlight in the middle is very well handled. It's oddly shaped. It's on fire. I think it works really well. And I think the title. What was the title? On Fire.
The title was Fire in the Sky.
Yeah. Perfect title for the image. They did it. They picked that very well. There's not much I would fault on this. The treatment's very good. They should be very happy with this.
Thank you. Next image in the workshop category is Pure Love. Pure Love. Image scores 80 points. Pete.
Oh, God damn it.
So I was at 76, the above average category on this workshop type class. Again, great little moment between, I can only assume that's mom and child, and it's got impact on that, but it can't carry past the technical deficiencies for me, and that would be the control of light and the flatness of the light. The little boy's shirt over here on his back's just completely, it's blown away. I would have thought in a workshop, portrait workshop, I'm going to assume that's what this was, that they would have demonstrated how to block light, also to get a little more directional light instead of coming straight what appears into the face. So you flatten out the features, especially on mom's, along her nose, her forehead. Of course, we get a little bit of character on the little boy, but for those reasons, I was not for the merit. I was in the above average category.
Thank you, Pete. Next image in the workshop category is Reflection. Reflection. Image scores 75 points. Stephen.
Yeah, this clearly looks like it's part of the desert Southwest somewhere. Nice time of day. So I think the maker has captured the angle of light, showing the texture and color of the rock, as well as the reflection nicely. Overall, I think it's a nice landscape photograph. I think the only thing in which the maker didn't have any control over would be to have some clouds in the photograph, just to add a little bit of contrast and counterpoint to the blue sky. But overall, I think it's a nice. Curious where this is. It might be maybe New Mexico or Utah area. I'm thinking maybe Utah. So,
thank you. Oh, excuse me. Okay, and the final image of the workshop category, and therefore the final image of the night, is That's Not How Skating Works. That's not how skating works. Okay, final score is 77. Craig, why don't you talk about that one?
Yeah, I like the pose, and her smile. I love a genuine smile. The two things that sort of detract for me are the lens flare at her feet and just below her head. If it was stronger, it might work, but I think it's too fine a lens flare, and obviously, that's neither here nor there, I guess. But it does distract me a little bit. Interesting pose, good concept. Yeah, really cool. But yeah, just a few things that I wasn't quite happy with, just mainly the lens flare. And possibly her highlights on her chest, just the shirt, a bit too bright.
Okay, thank you. Well,
Awesome.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. At this point, we're going to stop the YouTube broadcast, and the judges will stay on to review the images and come up with the best in show. We will look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday evening at the Old Spaghetti Factory, where we will have the award ceremony and recognize all of the various different merits. So once again, thank you, everybody, and we will see you on Wednesday. And judges, please stay on.